It began like any other vacation. A young woman, backpack slung over her shoulder, walked through the doors of the infamous Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Her name was Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old Canadian student with a love for books, travel, and Tumblr. She was bright, curious, and, by all accounts, just trying to escape the stress of school and life for a few weeks. But what happened next would catapult her into the darkest corners of internet obsession and unanswered questions. Because on February 19, 2013, Elisa Lam's body was found floating in a rooftop water tank, naked and lifeless. And no one, not even the LAPD, could explain how she got there. This wasn't just a tragic death, it became a full-blown mystery, one soaked in speculation, fear, and countless conspiracy theories. Was she murdered? Was it suicide? Was something darker at play? Something the world wasn't ready to confront? Let's rewind. Elisa had been traveling alone through California, stopping in San Diego and eventually making her way to LA. On January 28th, she checked into the Cecil Hotel, a building notorious for its long history of violence, suicides, and serial killer guests. Yes, actual serial killers had stayed there, Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, among them. Elisa didn't know it then, but she had just checked into one of the most infamous places in America. Her original room was shared, but after her roommates complained of odd behavior, she was moved to a private one. Then came the silence. Elisa stopped calling her parents, she stopped updating her blog. Her last recorded activity was a strange post about being lost in the world. On January 31st, she vanished. For days, police combed the area. Flyers were posted, family members flew in, and a desperate search began. But nothing turned up, until the hotel guests started complaining about something bizarre. The water tasted strange. It looked murky. The pressure was low. Maintenance workers investigated the roof's water tanks, and what they found inside still haunts the world today. Elisa's naked body, floating face up in the dark, sealed tank. There were no signs of trauma, no drugs in her system, no suicide note, just one girl, somehow inside a locked tank, on a roof that was supposed to be inaccessible to guests. And that's where the real questions started. The LAPD released surveillance footage of Elisa in the hotel elevator, recorded on the night of her disappearance. If you've seen it, you know it's the kind of footage that burrows under your skin. Elisa steps into the elevator and frantically pushes several buttons, but the doors don't close. She peeks outside, ducks back in, hides in the corner, then suddenly steps out and appears to speak or gesture towards something or someone off camera. Her movements are erratic. Her arms flail like she's talking to an invisible presence. She then walks away. The elevator finally closes and continues its journey. Elisa never returns. Millions viewed the footage online. Theories exploded. Was she being followed? Was someone out there who knew exactly what happened? Or was this a breakdown, a moment of mental collapse? Internet sleuths scoured the video frame by frame. Some said the footage was tampered with, cut, edited, time-stamped inconsistently. Others believed she was possessed. Theories ranged from ghosts to secret government experiments. But then came the medical explanation. Elisa was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression. She had been prescribed multiple medications, some of which were found in her system, but not all, suggesting she may have skipped some doses. Her behavior in the elevator matched possible signs of a manic episode, some argued. That theory aligns with the accidental drowning verdict eventually ruled by the coroner. According to them, she likely climbed into the tank herself while in a delusional state and drowned. But there's a problem, several actually. The water tank was difficult to access. The rooftop had an alarm system that didn't go off. The tank's lid was heavy. Employees claimed it was closed when they found her, which would have been nearly impossible for someone to close from the inside. And even if she was having an episode, why was she naked? Her clothes were found floating beside her. If she'd gone for a swim, why no attempt to escape? Why did no one see her climb to the roof? And why, in the most surveilled building in Los Angeles, was there no footage beyond the elevator? The questions only deepened when the hotel's past came into focus. The Cecil had a legacy of death. Suicides, murders, overdoses, it was practically cursed. Some even believed the place was a magnet for tragedy. Paranormal investigators flocked to the site, urban legends were reborn, and conspiracy theories soared. Some pointed fingers at hotel staff. Why didn't they check the water tanks sooner? Why wasn't the roof locked properly? Others noted Elisa's blog posts about being followed or feeling invisible. And then there was the coincidence that nearly broke the internet. In 2013, a tuberculosis outbreak swept through LA's Skid Row, just blocks from the Cecil. The test used to detect it, called the Lam-Elisa test. Coincidence? Or something more sinister? But perhaps the darkest angle is this. Elisa's death may have simply been a perfect storm of neglect, mental illness, and a building that didn't care enough to stop the tragedy. The Cecil had been the backdrop of horror for nearly a century. It swallowed stories like Elisa's whole, letting only whispers escape. So, Netflix's 2021 docuseries crime scene The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel brought the case back into the spotlight. It took a look at the facts, the theories, and, honestly, the public obsession surrounding it all. And while, it answered some questions, others only grew more unsettling. The show also criticized those online sleuths who, treated the case like it was just some murder mystery game, forgetting there was a real person at the center of it all, a young woman battling her own demons in a city that never noticed she was drowning. Even today, Elisa Lam's story isn't over. It lives in the questions, in the footage, in the eerie legacy of the Cecil Hotel, which has since rebranded itself but honestly can never escape its past. Some say the mystery was solved. It was just a tragic accident born of untreated mental illness and a failure of security. Others, though, refuse to believe it. The truth perhaps lies somewhere in between. Because maybe this wasn't about ghosts or government plots. Maybe it wasn't even about murder. Maybe it was about how easy it is to fall through the cracks, how a girl with dreams, a journal full of hope, and a mind in turmoil ended up as a cautionary tale we're still trying to understand. Elisa Lam's case reminds us of how thin the line is between reality and fear, between explanation and imagination. And sometimes the scariest mysteries aren't the ones that can't be solved, but the ones we think we already have. Want more chilling true crime breakdowns like this? Subscribe now and hit that bell. Share this story with someone who remembers the elevator footage and let us know in the comments, what do you think really happened to Elisa Lam?